Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sunday, and welcome to another episode of Deadly Departed. I wanted to do this a little bit differently because before we've talked about the paranormal, before we've talked about demonology, and we've talked about so many other things. I wanted to kind of move out of that realm and go into a little bit of spiritual thought and how we perceive things. And so in this episode, we're going to kind of change it up, and it's going to be hopefully more on the positive side rather than the negative side about demons and ghosts and everything else is with it. And I hope that by the end of this, that it will give you something to think about in a different way. So when we come right back, we're going to get right into this very next episode. God bless, guys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, what is it we're going to talk about? It's a little bit different, as I said, in just that introduction there. How many, we hear time and time and time again, gratitude is the attitude. You've got to be thankful for everything. But how many times are we really in that moment and understanding what thankfulness actually is or what gratitude actually is? Because no matter how many posts you put out there about gratitude is the attitude, no matter how you speak in, if you're a medium and you're given something in church or a workshop, or even just in your general life, or you're someone who's suffered grief, or someone who is just interested in spirituality, or even struggling at some point in their life, and you see so many posts and so many things with gratitude, the attitude, you've got to have gratitude, you've got to be gratuitous for everything you have and thankful for everything you have. But really, in reality, no matter how many times that we are actually faced with this and we see this, how many of us actually take that time to really be thankful and really show gratitude for what we do? I will wager that that's fairly low. And a lot of people that say that they wake up and they're continually thankful and give God grace and everything. You can say words as much as you want, but words are spoken glibly. And even as long as I've been doing this type of work, I still have a problem trying to get my focus on being thankful, being gratuitous, and watching my words and how I speak and watching how I think, and really trying to live up to that, my rules of life of love, forgiveness, compassion. Perceive, believe, conceive. It's not. A lot of people beat themselves up because they think that everybody else is doing better than them. A lot of people beat themselves up because they think that they're not getting it, and they don't have the focus, and it's not happening for them. But let me just tell you guys that no matter how good someone is, and no matter how virtuous someone is, we all have our issues, we all have our problems, and we all have our struggles trying to deal with these things. And I want to kind of bring something just into a little bit of reality there. I saw the other day, I actually saw a woman who was getting engaged, and it was beautiful to see them and to see what they were doing and everything else. And she gave her husband a gift. And the gift was a pair of glasses. You and I wouldn't think nothing of that. But this guy put on his glasses and basically said he could see the world differently. Little did I know, that gentleman was seeing for the first time in colour. And he said something that I'll never forget. He said something like, "Is this what you guys see every day?" And it made me immediately, in that moment, it hit me. And it hit me in that very moment that I witnessed it. That we often take for granted what is in front of our noses. And we hear people talking about taking things for granted. And we hear people talking about, this thankful thing and raising your vibration. I do it myself. But really, how many times in that moment do we stop and really feel with all our heart and all our being and all our soul really what that means, and to be grateful, to be thankful? When I saw that man then break down in tears because he's seen colour for the first time, it made me think at how many other times have we actually missed those simple things that we take for granted. How many times have we seen someone that has maybe lost a limb, like a soldier, and he gets his prosthetic leg, or his, I have to be honest. I used to have a student. I've been involved in things in the past. I have a student who used to come into my dojo, and he was a soldier, an amazing man for what he did in life, and I'll never forget. He had a great sense of humour, and I'll never forget him. And his son was a cracking kid as well, and from our back home in Scotland. And he had lost his leg through his battle in Kosovo, and nothing stopped him. But we take for granted what we have. And you see someone that gets their prosthetic leg just for that time, and they start crying because they realise that they can do simple things that we take for granted. That they can walk, that they can run. Or you even see someone who suffers from Down syndrome, and they have so much love and joy and happiness inside of them that nothing phases them, and they give out so much love, joy and happiness with them. Or we see the family who's touched because they've just finally got that wheelchair for their son or their daughter who may be paraplegic. Or that person who, for want of a better expression, my wife and I were in a coffee shop one day, and a young lady comes in, and she really wanted a coffee, and she really wanted a piece of cake, and she never had any money, never had anything, and so many people just ignored that. But not Jo. She rose to the challenge straight away and made sure that the girl actually had that, and she had that, and she thoroughly enjoyed, and she didn't know, because she didn't know who it was sent by. We made sure that it wasn't going to get sent by. But that person really, really enjoyed it. That made their day, and I think in that moment they were really thankful. In that moment they had gratitude. There's often times that we take things, even our food, for gratitude, and we can talk about mindfulness until the cows come home and being mindful. But even that sometimes can be a buzzword that people use and don't actually take the action. I talk a great deal about awareness and action. You can have awareness, but without action, the awareness is useless. You can have awareness, then take action, and something comes out of it. Or you might not have any awareness, and so therefore action doesn't exist, so you can't take that action. So it's all about that in the present moment, all about that in the moment, and how we find that gratitude. How we listen where people may be getting annoyed, and we hear the crying tears of a young born baby or someone, and we can hear those tears, and we remember, take a minute for a while just to remember that there's people out there that have lost their children. There's people out there that have lost their sons or daughters, and they can't hear that crying child again, and they wish it for so much. And what do? We get annoyed because we hear them screaming. I've done it myself. I've been in coffee shops where the noise has been so crazy, and I've got annoyed with things, and really I'm not being mindful of that moment. I'm not being mindful of that time. So I want you guys to think about really what it means to be in that moment of gratitude. And I would ask you, each day that you wake, each day that you go about your business, try and do 3 things that bring you to a point of living in that moment, in a point of mindful thought about something that you perceive or you see or something that you feel. Because that can change your whole aspect and it can change your whole life. You can maybe start to understand forgiveness in a deeper way, compassion in a deeper way. Doesn't matter who people are, what their past is, what their job that they do. Everyone is equal. And let's face it, guys, the future's never going to arrive. Your future's doomed. Why? Because you can only live in the moment at any one given time. But I would ask you to be aware of that moment, and the action that you take in that moment is to be thankful and gratuitous for what you may have missed by seeing that person who has just had a sandwich given to them and maybe was homeless, or to that individual who is somebody's lost their child, or people have lost their children and you hear the child crying, or the person that's in the wheelchair, or the family that has the paraplegic, or just the guy who wants to see through different glasses. Because sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we are more colourblind than even they are, and often we are more blind than the blind. So I ask you this week, or even moving on, 3 things a day to be mindful of, to be thoughtful of, to show gratitude and love, to be forgiving, to be compassionate. Because while you're arguing about how much money you have, or what that person's got, or how well that person's doing, or what did they get up to and they shouldn't be in that position, or that shouldn't be happening, the reality is that it doesn't matter to anybody who's lost their leg. It doesn't matter to anybody who may be homeless. Nothing like that is important. The simple things that we take for granted, the simple things in life, are our greatest joy and our greatest pleasures. And what a gift it is to share with others. And even if you want to spend the currency of the soul, when you recognize that awareness in you of what you've perceived, or what you see, hear, or feel, or the person who may be struggling, and you can lift them up, it just changes the whole world. The material world is an illusion. Our world can be taken away from us in a moment. So let's try and cherish the moments that we live in. And let's become more mindful, at least 3 times a day, to recognize the simple things that we often have colourblind glasses on, or off actually, or that we're blinded to. Have a little bit of think about that, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to make any comments, that's fine. This is something that I seen today, and something that made me really aware of what I see. And my action is sharing this with you in the hope that I will sow a seed, and that you will nurture that seed, and you will grow a beautiful tree. And in that respect, you will become more loving, more compassionate, and more forgiving. Because that's really where the power of the world lies. And be grateful and thankful for just the small things. Because the small things are the happiest moments that you'll live. God bless.